All right. Live in effect. There we go. Let's see. Okay, now we live everywhere. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Oh boy, I tell you, man. Tell you. Technology, boy. Technology. Peace and love, everybody. Another beautiful day on this planet. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Yeah, another beautiful day. It's a beautiful time. Don't believe the hype. A lot of people try to scare you and saying that this is a term a treacherous time to live in, but that's the exact opposite. This is a beautiful day to be happy that you signed this contract to come here this day and time. So be very happy for this Polka Dot Rabbit podcast. We are here to uplift humanity and assist in aiding waking up the melanated woolly head beings that have been asleep for quite some time. Um, if you have not already, please go to polka.rabbitpodcast.com. Check out my book, Bicultural Living and Leaving the World of Illusions. Um, now, we have a very special guest today. And I'm going to say that because me personally, just knowing the research I've done and knowing what day and time we are in, as far as melanated people, as far as what prioritizing, what they should be doing at this point. We have this man right here is is the man. Saying I would say that he is definitely a master student, also a master teacher in my own right. You know what I'm saying? And I'm very happy to be here to build with his brother because what he's teaching is so crucial. I mean, I don't know. I can't even put a value. I can't even tell you how valuable this information this brother has. So that's enough for me, brother coach TJ Loftin. Could you please explain who you are, what you do, and we can go from there.
All right, brother. I appreciate again the opportunity to share and appreciate all the work you're doing in the community, giving people like myself the opportunity to share.
Hmm.
That's important. I'm TJ Loftin. Quite got an extensive background, but to shorten it up, I'm a celebrity car builder, meaning I restore classic cars for the celebrities, rap videos, movies, TV shows. Not just classic cars, but custom cars, etc. Also, a real estate guru, they call me, um, business coach, wealth coach. Go back over 30 years in this industry of teaching people about success and creating wealth and, pioneered a lot of different movements, helped to build the lowrider empire, plus so much more. Building bridges. I'm all about building bridges, mainly helping my
Yeah,
people.
that's it. It's interesting. I see you all the time lecturing, man, and like I said, the information is I would say at this state in time it's priceless, man. But I'm gonna ask you this. You just kind of talk about being a celebrity car builder. Could you kind of elaborate more on that? Because I guess most people don't really know what a celebrity car builder is.
That's another one of those things that's hitting to our community. They don't want all education ain't in the schools, brother. They don't want
Yeah.
they save some of the good stuff for themselves. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
that's one of them. So celebrity car builder is I'm the guy behind the scenes that I build a lot of custom cars for rappers, football players, anybody in the industry, people with money. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you got to ask yourself. You see Rick Ross, for example, he got all these cars. It's like when's the last time you saw Rick Ross sitting at the Bentley dealer getting his oil changed?
Yeah.
So, or
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
DMV getting his tags registered on his new car. That would be a person like my job to go do that. So
Mm.
I had a shop building cars. I do a lot of when people come into money, they say, "Hey, can you pick out my fleet of cars?" Just like the other day, someone sent me a list of cars, like $17 million budget. They needed to get all these kind of cars and they wanted them built up for their fleet. So I do that. That's called a celebrity car builder. You got mechanics. Some people say that's a glorified mechanic, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
I can work on everything from a 57 Chevy Bel Air to a Bugatti, 2023 Bugatti or something.
Dang.
So that's the difference.
How did you get into that? Like, well, how did you get into that role?
It was a very interesting story. I started off by growing up in Compton. You know, a partner of mine's, we started, I started a lowrider shop because a couple of my coaches, Gary May and Terry Carter, the guy that Suge Knight ran over, Terry Carter, they had a lowrider shop together, and Terry Carter had partnered with Ice Cube and had a film company and a record company called Heavyweight Records. So they told me if I need to start a lowrider shop because we're gonna start putting lowriders in rap videos, movies, TV shows, whatever. So, you know, plus I knew everybody, Bloods and Crips and all of that. So that was a perfect opportunity. But as you know, rappers got private jets, they got lowriders, they got Ferraris, Rolls Royces. So I remember one guy in particular. A lot of people don't realize you don't see Ferrari mechanic shops. You know, you don't just run across a Ferrari dealer where they working on them. So a lot of stuff that happens to a Ferrari, they got to send it back. They got to mail it. They got to send it back to France or Germany or something like that to get worked on.
Oh,
so
wow.
I just started messing with them. Like, let me look at it. You know, you finna send ship a car all the way overseas or whatever to get worked on. Let me look at it. And I'm like, dude, a car is a car. Because I can take a car apart and do modifications. Like we used to take brand new cars apart and put those big wheels on them. So I'm very well versed with a car. You know, just like other people, doctors are very well versed with the human body. They know all about the anatomy. I'm very well versed with the car, and I know all about the car. So I'm like, I can take the engine out of a Corvette, brand new Corvette, and make the modifications and put it into a 57 Chevy or 61 Chevy Impala, you know, and adapt it.
What do they say when they used to find the UFOs? They would reverse engineering.
Reverse engineer it. That's
So
exactly what I do.
yeah.
I'm that guy. So even if you
yeah.
bought me a UFO, I would be the guy that they would come get to reverse engineer it. Yeah, there you go. I'm that guy.
That's quite valuable. As I can only imagine. So that's very interesting. So you were just talking about like the how you know the Bloods and the Crips. Now what I know that if I'm not mistaken, that you were a gang ambassador. Is that correct?
Yes.
What is that exactly?
A gang ambassador is a person that knows all the Bloods and Crips, and that's very well respected. So, for example, when we started doing those rap videos in Compton, you know, we got a lot of rap labels, rappers and stuff in Compton. They would shoot a lot of videos in Compton. And well, in the beginning, they couldn't do that because the different gangs would shoot the gangs up, shoot the video shoot up. So because I grew up knowing a lot of people, very well respected through a lot of people, primarily because of my background, that it's easier instead of the record producers going to hire 500 police officers to come and secure a video shoot, they would come get 5 people like TJ.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? To come in there and that everybody respects and loves and trusts and don't want nothing to happen to. So it would be a better situation to bring in me because I'm a gang ambassador. I'm the guy that's going, if somebody carjacks your car, I'm going to be the guy to get it back for you. You know, somebody break into your house. It's like, instead of calling the police, call TJ, you know, stuff
it's interesting, man, because like you always hear negative connotations about gangs, you know what I'm saying, and all these different things. You know, of course, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly and everything, but at the same time, you know, from what my information I came along with gangs really started as a positive thing. Am I correct? Yeah, and
you
I'm sorry, go ahead.
gotta look at what does the word mean. A gang is just, hold on one second, phone ringing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's just a lot of people, man. It's a gang of people in the room. You know what I'm saying? Anytime black people come together, it's a gang.
Yeah.
You know, but
Or a tribe, right? Or a tribe, right?
Yeah, or a tribe. But anything we do, it's going to be a negative connotation over it. You know, a negative look. So that's what it was. They made it to a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? But that's not how it started off. It started off like we were moving into different neighborhoods and black people was being picked on.
Yeah.
You know, we were being bullied. They don't, you know, to this day, white folks don't, other folks don't like us living in their neighborhoods. So they would beat them up. You know, one black kid, 2 black families moving to a white neighborhood. And the next thing you know, they start beating them up, running them out of the area, you know, doing what they got to do to kick them out of school, etc. I mean, you can look at that first video when they brought that little black girl into that, when they were integrating the school system.
I remember that.
Remember how all them people's out there protesting with the baseball bats and
yelling and stuff.
So do you think that that's how the gangs got formed, of us coming together we're the only one we could trust. It's
Yeah, yeah,
us. We ain't gonna beat each other up. They gonna get us, so we got to work together. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And
And
that's how it started.
and that would be another representation would be something like the Black Panthers, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's why it's fun. There
yeah,
would be no need for a Black Panthers if there wasn't the white gangs coming
yeah.
in to beat up the black kids.
The
There would be no
adversity, yeah,
need for no Black
yeah,
Panthers. You know what I
yeah.
mean? But
Or even just the police coming in bullying. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. If
Yeah,
all of that
yeah,
harassment wasn't happening, you wouldn't have a Black Panthers, none of that. But
yeah, yeah.
it came out of a necessity, you know.
Necessity, yeah. And I
So
had a one brother out there, um, and he was just breaking it down. He was talking about like black supremacy, and when he was talking about black supremacy, there wasn't one thing he said about anything negative as opposed to, well, anything negative he was saying when he said black um, supremacy. He was talking about community building. He was talking about education. You know what I'm saying? Every aspect that he said dealing with black supremacy was all about uplifting the people in the community, as
right,
opposed to you saying other people when they look at like, a white supremacy, white power, it's all about, oppressing people, killing people, etc. So I think that's a very I think people got to realize there is a huge difference between, you know, you trying to uplift your community as opposed to like tearing people down.
right,
You
absolutely.
know what I'm saying?
You leave
Uh,
out of
mhm.
you leave out
Go
of
ahead.
America, they call America a gang.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Oh yeah.
enforcer and all kind of anything like that.
Man.
That's what America is, the bully. You know,
Oh man, that's a whole different kind of topic.
right,
You know what I'm saying? Woo! I've never seen, as long as I've been alive, I've never seen that type of bullying all over the planet, getting everybody's
yeah,
business and
yeah.
assassinating people and bombing people. Good gracious,
We don't
man!
want them running this, and we don't want them doing that,
Exactly,
and we don't
exactly,
want them to
exactly,
ever be in the power that they could raise the price of oil. We don't want to even buy
exactly,
it from them. You know
exactly.
what I mean?
You
We don't
know.
want to buy no gold from them. You know,
Exactly, exactly. Yeah,
so
it still gets sick to my stomach when I think about the type of things that happened for the things that were trying to be happening when Gaddafi was over there and
right,
how it was just, ended. It still makes me sick to my stomach today. You know what I mean?
absolutely,
About
absolutely,
what could have been, but wasn't because of what we were just talking about. But like
right,
again, that's a different conversation.
right.
Now, I was I had the honor actually to go out to Lamar Park.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was about a year and a half ago. I was on there on a down day, but it didn't even
Right.
matter because it was I still caught the vibe. I was walking around the
Right.
little shops and stuff, you know what I'm saying? Because I
Right.
can only
Right.
imagine how it was on the day that was popping. So
Sunday. Right.
is that Sunday? Okay. I think
Sunday.
it was
Every
on
Sunday, y'all, Lamert Park.
Lamar Park, yeah.
Yeah.
So are you the Lamar? So you were Lamar Park president? Is that correct?
Yeah, I was the president of Lamert Park. The Lamert Park.
Mm-hmm.
Every Sunday, we have the
Mm-hmm.
Lamert Park vendors come together, the drum circle, etc. So I was the
Mm-hmm.
president over the park. I made sure everybody was okay. So I organized all the vendors. I organized all the religions so we can come together in an effort not to be kicked out the park. So
Yeah.
it was quite fascinating because it was going on for 26 years before I even got there.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got there, I was the first person in 26 years that was able to organize the Hebrew Israelites, the Moors, the Rastas, the Christians, the Jehovah's, the everybody. It was so many
Mm-hmm.
religions there, but none of them really got along. But we were all there in unity to listen to the drum circle play.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
believe it or not.
powerful, man. That's
Yeah.
powerful.
So when they decided to come in and kick us out the park because they wanted to put a mixed use building on top of the park,
Yeah.
I was like, nah, man, we got all of these Dr. Sabi's, I call them his students, were all in the park with their
Mm-hmm.
card tables up selling this brand new thing called alkaline food, vegan food, plant-based food. And I'd never, I was like, wow, what is that? Like everybody, I'm looking, there's like a line of cars around the park. People who didn't want to come in the park and be a part of what we were doing because
Mm-hmm.
that was conscious day. Everybody had their dashikis on, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
Moors
yeah.
had their hats and the fezzes and all of
Mm-hmm.
that, and the Hebrew Israelites out there with they, doing their thing. And people would be like, "Oh, that's the weird day,"
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
the Christians is lined up around the block so that they
Mm-hmm.
can buy that plant-based food because you couldn't get it
Yeah,
nowhere else.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that's Dr. Sabi students in there. So when they decided they wanted to kick them out of that park and make it a marketplace for them to where they can charge people to vend, I was the one that said, look, we got to organize because this ain't going to work. I'm not going to let them kick us out, but I need y'all to support me. So that's exactly what happened. So they said nobody had ever been able to do that in 26 years, but it worked out for me, and I was happy about it because it was just an amazing situation.
You know, that's interesting to me because when I was there, I was reading all the the little plaques and the little things and pictures and stuff around there about the history, but also I was getting a story about how they were trying, like you said, they were trying to push it out and push it out and do all this kind of stuff and trying to get the people out of there. And lo and behold, it was you that the people were talking about as far as going against it. And that's, to me, that's a trip. Small world. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
it
Like,
really
yeah,
is.
yeah.
That's where I met the guy named Dr. Saviet.
Hmm.
When
Hmm.
they put me on out when I stood up against gentrification. I actually was the first person to call out gentrification in Southern
Yeah,
California.
yeah,
I thought it was just about them trying to kick us out the park, but if you look up on that mountaintop to the left, if you stand in the park and you look up on to the left
yeah.
at
Hmm.
Crenshaw,
Hmm.
man, that's View Park right there. That's the
Yeah.
wealthiest city, the wealthiest black-owned city in America.
Mm, mm.
View Park, Ladera Heights, and Windsor Hills. Them is the wealthiest black community in America that lives there. And I realized as we were sitting in that park, I realized they wasn't just trying to kick us out that park. They was trying to get rid of the people on top of that
Top of
mountaintop.
the hill. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
those mansions, you got mansions sitting up on top of that hill that see the Hollywood sign.
Mm,
And a friend of mine's had invited candidate Obama out there back
mm-hmm.
in the days and had a party at his mansion up there. He had he got a 15,000 square foot mansion up there looking at the Hollywood sign. So he invites one of the black billionaires that don't exist, that we don't know about. Most people don't know about.
Yeah.
He invited him out there, had $100,000 plate dinner and all that stuff, or something like that. And man, it just set the neighborhood on fire, and they've been trying to gentrify it ever since. And I was the one who came in there and saw it for what it was and called it out. Said, this is gentrification. They
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
take our community from us. And people like, nah,
Mm-hmm.
no, it ain't. No, it ain't. You
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. So, so the whole now, how did you get in the whole alkaline thing with Dr. Savi? How did that? What's the story behind that?
Well, when they tried to kick us out the park, like I said, that I was the one who stepped up and organized everybody. And next
Mm-hmm.
thing you know, I got us a seat at the table to where we
Mm-hmm.
had a say, and they couldn't kick us out no more. So and then Al Jazeera's News America had, before it
Mm,
got closed down, they came out and interviewed me, saying you're
mm.
the only person in America that ever done this. So that video was up for 24 hours before they took it down.
Damn.
And Dr. Sabi has saw it, and he came into the park, said, let me go get that brother before something happens to
Mm-hmm.
him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So he came in, recruited me, and we got to talking. And he was like, all these people in the park is there. The vegan people, the cooks are there for him because of him. Them is his students for the most part. So we started working together, and he wanted me to organize and help him to organize and make sure that, remember, nobody else was doing that. They didn't have
Mm-hmm.
any plant-based restaurants for the most part
Yeah.
in 2012 back in LA. So
Mm.
we came together to just do like I did for the lowrider industry. Dr. Sabi wanted us to work together so that we can make sure that those those vendors on those tables would be able to get into brick and mortars, and we were able to franchise those brick and mortars. So you
Wow.
got different guys making guys and women making plant-based burgers, plant-based tacos, all of that, alkaline foods. So we wanted to have like a chain of taco, plant-based taco, a chain of plant-based pizzerias, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, Dr. Sabi owned all the recipes.
Yeah.
They didn't
Yeah.
exist. So we also had a problem when I got there because we had something that nobody else had. We had a lot of another community that just got their own hate crime bill passed. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
They was coming through the park stealing recipes.
Mm.
you know. So they would literally. So I started hearing all these stories about different people. These guys coming in there with cameras and asking 8 million questions, and I start telling people stopped answering the questions. So we started digging to find out who these people were, and they own restaurants, they own stores. You know what I'm saying? And that was a great place to go steal intellectual property. You know, Leimert Park had all those creatives there. You know, so that's how I got to working with Dr. Sebi. You know, I became his advisor. He said, President Obama got a cabinet, so I want my own cabinet, and I want you to lead it. You know, so I was like, okay. So I started working with him, and he would come to me and be like, look, we're going to build a hospital in Tanzania, or we're going to do this chain, or I want to, you know, hemp is about to be legalized, and I want you to go to South Carolina, and I got some land, and you're going to grow it and turn it. We're going to make clothes, and we're going to make bricks and build houses. And okay, that's what I do. That's what I would do.
Shout out and rest in peace to the great ancestor, Dr. Sebi. Me personally, like I talk about in my new upcoming book, you know, his diet changed my life because I had arthritis in my right hip, and I had to do research. I'm like, yo, how do I have arthritis at 32 years old? You know what I'm saying? I got his information, changed my diet, started taking herbs, and you know, and I haven't had that issue ever since. You know what I'm saying? So definitely shout out to that good brother. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Sebi, you know, nothing but love for that good brother, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Brother, he was all about his people, you know. So
yes, 100%.
I really appreciate it was things that me and him were working on that helped us.
Yeah.
Us.
Yeah.
As people.
Yeah.
It was not just about herbs, you know. That's why if you ever hear me speaking. I actually got a book coming out, hoping to have it out before his birthday, of what we were doing, all the stuff we were doing, what we were working on, our relationship, more about it, you know. I've been invited to be in those documentaries, but those documentaries have not come out yet, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm working on doing my own, but the book is coming out first, then the doc will be coming out.
Yeah, I'm hoping very much that those documentaries do come out. So you know what I'm saying. So people were just able to see what, like you said, what y'all were doing, and you know, and just how important what he doing was, and you know, because in this after the scam happened, you know, in 2019 and 220, you know, that whole time frame, everybody is fear mongering all this stuff about, you know, oh this and you got to do this and get jabbed up and all this kind of stuff, and like people that had sense is like, how are you gonna tell me all that stuff and I already know how to eat right to stay healthy. So if something does happen, then you know my body will just fight it off like anything else. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's I think that's so important because everybody is just like to take the short route as opposed to just do the simplest thing in the world and just take care of your body. You know what I'm saying? Because
right,
you know what I'm saying? It's that simple. And having someone like Dr. Sebi that gives you a foundation and really a blueprint of that. That's you know that as well is priceless, man.
You know, I always say it was him, you know, him dying was like martyring him, you know. And then Nipsey Hussle was an important death because it really, like, so many people, like people when I first started going to Leimert Park, people looked at me like, oh boy, TJ over there, he wearing that thing called what is it, the dashiki and all that stuff. That dude done lost his mind, you know what I'm saying? It really pissed people off. He ain't a Christian no more. What's up with that? You know, it was like I ain't the blood no more. I done joined the Crips now, or I'm not Republican no more. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a Republican now. And it was like the same thing. Like so they got mad. People, man, he lost his mind. But my whole thing was when then they saw me hanging out with Dr. Sebi. Now it's like, oh, now he really tripping, hanging with this guy tomorrow. He cured all that stuff. But once he died, the name went global, and it was all over the news that he died. It's like, but if he was a fraud and he was a nobody, why is the news covering it? You know.
And that's so true. And it's like the martyr, and I agree, man, because it's like these people. You know what trips me out about these people, man, is that they think just because you can end somebody's life, it just ends, or if you just lock somebody up, it just ends.
No.
You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of cases. It's just the exact opposite. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. But that's just the mindset because these individuals don't understand how spirit works, how the ancestors work. You know what I'm saying? How nature works. You know what I'm saying? So it's still just trips me out how just you think that silencing doesn't put those ancestors on the other eye, on your army assisting you on this other side, man. But again, that's a different conversation.
So when that happened to Sebi, people was already looking at me sideways. Oh,
Yeah.
he TJ didn't wear it out on us.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, when that happened to Nip,
Mm-hmm.
it now my buddies was like, whoa, it wasn't
Yeah.
just TJ, it was him and Nip.
Yeah.
You know, you
Exactly.
don't have to wear dashiki to hang out with that Dr. Sabi guy to
Mm-hmm.
utilize his products. And then
Mm-hmm.
now they really started believing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it touched it really got home more
Mm-hmm.
in my community, especially in the car building community. I just got through giving a lecture, and I was really talking about, the effects of Nipsey Hussle was a very important death, because I looked at a lot of my gangster buddies. These guys, now we got lowriders all in front of the health food store, laid
Mm-hmm.
out and sitting up in the vegan restaurants. Lowriders hanging out, all these big dudes in there, sitting there. Brothers is big, fat, eating at Burger King every day, having double cheeseburgers and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now they over there getting plant-based burgers and stuff. And it was
Mm-hmm.
like, they like, TJ knew what he was talking about way
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
then. He owned it, Ain't nothing
Yeah.
changed. He was just ahead of the time. So it's a really good thing. I have conversations with cats that I least expect to know who a Dr. Sabi was.
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
whoa, cat be like, cuz doctor, I'm waiting on my CMOS, cuz, and blood, I'm waiting on my that stuff was like Viagra,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They be on it, man. They know. And I'm like, I'm just sitting there tearing my eyes, just smiling.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you got it. You ain't got diabetes no more. You ain't, cancer, whatever. But it was just amazing. And I said, how you find out about Dr. Sabi? Oh, I saw you, following them and then working with them and doing stuff with them. But then I saw Nip started, wanted to do his thing with them. And that's when really people said, let me try it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So now it's like cat out the bag. Ain't no going back.
Man, if I had $1 for every person that I've heard that personal individuals that I know that their whole life changed because of Dr. Sabi and his diet, you know what I'm saying? I would buy 1,000 of your books. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Only if I had $1. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
I mean, and of course, I'm
That book coming out,
exaggerating,
y'all.
but the same, yeah. But at the same time, it's true. You know what I'm saying? And because it's like once you got that information, you wanted to teach, you wanted to show other people. Man, I'm telling you, many times like somebody said, "Oh, I got so and so and so so." Oh, you got so and so. Now let me show you this. You know what I'm saying? You heard of Dr. Sabi? No. And all you got to do is this. Have you heard about so and so? It's like once we find that information out, we want to share it because it's going to help us. You know what I'm saying? It's like just over and over again. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to Eddie Murphy. Matter of fact, he threw Magic Johnson under the bus in that movie he did. I don't know if you're familiar. Those people or something like that.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
he did that movie, and he shot it. That scene was shot up at my favorite restaurant, Simply Wholesome in LA, where I always go. I'll be giving lectures and
Mm-hmm.
pre-book signings on the porch, on the patio up there. And he did in the movie. He said, first they come in there and get learn how to cure AIDS from Magic Johnson and Dr. Sabi, and now they
Mm-hmm.
trying to come get our smoothies. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
just
yeah,
putting those two names together was very powerful, because the man, he cured magic. You know what I'm saying? And Magic denied it.
yeah,
So for Eddie Murphy to throw that out there, I was like, wow,
yeah.
check
Yeah.
it out.
If I'm not mistaken, he worked with Michael Jackson too, right?
All of them. Yeah, he was with Mike. I
Yeah,
think he was with Mike for 6 months.
yeah,
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 Mike
yeah,
was on
yeah,
the
yeah.
road of destruction, and Sabi took it and turned it all the way around. Then you got, matter of fact, Mr. G got the footage. I don't know if you know Mr. G. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he wrote the book My Journey with Dr. Sabi,
Mm-hmm.
and he shows a bit. He got the video on his page of Michael Jackson walked Dr. Sabi into the White House.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Introduce him to the president. You know what I'm saying? They were like, yeah. We'll call you later, let you know.
Yeah, I can
But
imagine.
he
Yeah, yeah,
did do that, man, and that was powerful. A lot of people don't want to admit that type of stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Anything
interesting.
about Sabi, they want to make sure it's negative. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's a
yeah,
very
yeah,
powerful brother, and it was an honor. It was such a huge honor to be able to walk with that brother. It's kind of like,
yeah.
if you want to be from religion, like what do they say? The 12 disciples. I feel like I
Yeah.
was one of the
What are
disciples.
the disciples?
I
I got
walked with him. I was his advisor, his leading advisor. So
you. Yeah,
I got my book coming. So the book of TJ, the book of Mr. G, the book. You know what I'm saying? So it was just powerful, man, because the brother did a lot of stuff.
yeah. He
And
did.
like I said, it helped me out with a lot of stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
all of us, a lot of us unhealthy, you know, but changed all that. But especially my industry in the classic cars, and you know, me being a speaker, getting to go travel and talk about that with everybody all over the country, you know, so that's always been a great thing.
So, I mean, you you have a list of things you accomplishments and a list of different things that you've done throughout, affiliations, I should say.
Right.
So, what could you kind of build on your affiliation with the Compton Airport?
Okay, so at the Compton Airport, a buddy of mine, you know, when we organized Compton, you know, it was a lot of money floating around Compton. I don't know,
Hmm.
there's a lot of people don't know that, but there's a lot of very wealthy people came from Compton,
Hmm.
and we got a lot of record labels out of Compton. We got a lot of famous rappers, billion-dollar record labels, etc. So we wanted to give back to Compton and create something that could help to move that stigmatism of gang violence. Of Compton is a bad place, you know. So one of my buddies started Tomorrow's Aeronautical Museum. You know, another one of them billionaire brothers that we ain't never heard of. So we started that, and we would all, you know, help out with it. So I became one of the people. I started running it, you know, I think it was in 2016 or something.
Hmm.
But fast forward the story, we opened the door. We got Isaiah Cooper, 16-year-old Compton kid, flew around America by himself in the plane. First pilot at 16 to to fly around America by himself, and made the news. You can just Google Isaiah Cooper. Then you got Kenny Roy, 14 years old from Compton, most likely to go to jail, be shot, murdered, whatever, run up in
Hmm.
your house and rob you. That was him. And he became the first 14-year-old kid to go from Compton to Canada and get his pilot license. And then he got his pilot license again at 16 in America. So you look up Kenny Roy, he living in Dubai.
Oh,
You know
wow.
what I'm saying? Flying back around and living in that building from Fast and the Furious. So that airport is very important. And then on top of that, I knew a long time ago that college was kind of playing out, you know, because I
Yeah, yeah,
traveled,
yeah, yeah.
you know, I deal with the College Expo and I'm real big with education. So I also knew that the pilots were retiring, and the people in the watchtower, they were retiring too, and
Hmm.
they were desperate for pilots. So I
Hmm.
felt like, wow. So they were trying to, you know, they came and partnered with us at the airport and gave us, you know, throw us like $25,000. So here, get us some pilots. So every pilot we graduated at that school that got their license, uh, was it American Airlines would give them a job, you know,
Oh,
make them
wow.
like 100,000. So it's like if we graduated 500 pilots, all of them get jobs, you know. So I needed that. I wanted that information to get out. So when I collaborated with you know, with the what do you call it, the Black College Expo, which is another
Yeah.
Compton organization that started off with some Compton people,
Hmm.
and you know, I connected them two together because you would think that these powerful people know each other, but they didn't. So
Hmm.
I connected them together and said, look, I can help both of these people with their problem. You know, we need more money in Compton at the nonprofit to teach these youth how to fly. And the Black College Expo needed somewhere else to point these kids at, because we dropping all these kids back then in 2015.
Hmm.
74% of college graduates were unemployed or underemployed. So
Hmm.
then again in 17, it was at over 90%. That's
Good
2017.
gracious.
But here we go in 2023. They mad at the president for not giving them a bailout. So
Hmm.
we caught that way back then in 2015, and we
Hmm.
were able to get in position and push a lot of pilots and to get a lot of pilots. So now, after I connected them, now we have pilot classes in schools all the way up to the HBCUs all over America. So that's one of my biggest things that I'm proud of was
Wow.
now we're going to have a lot of Black pilots. You know, when your kids go to school and want to be a pilot, know that TJ was the guy who put that together, you know. But you probably never see that nowhere other than on my page, me talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I got
Yeah.
pictures and all of that showing you know, you can see it in me with I would bring the pilots with me to the Black College Expo and put them on panel discussions with me and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And then the next thing you know, they ended up merging. Tomorrow's Aeronautical Museum and the National College Research Fund merged. And next thing
Hmm.
you know, we got pilot classes everywhere. But another reason why I wanted to do it was because we would have a lot of people coming up to that airport, you know, rappers and like these get rich quick guys. Let me teach you how to be wealthy. They want
Hmm.
rent helicopter time. Come stand by the helicopter and take pictures and say it's they helicopter.
Fronting. Yeah.
So I'm rich. This is my helicopter. This is my wife, and these are my children, and this is my cars. All of them just got rented from this guy, but they are mine for the day. So come take my class. So we rent a lot of people that stuff, and a lot of rappers that Compton rappers would have a helicopter saying that, oh, this is my helicopter, and this is my jet, and this is my yacht. Look, I remember like when I was last leaving, I think YG was up there. He did his video, and we flew over matter of fact, him and Isaiah and Rodman flew out his backyard and over the top of his house while YG was hanging out the helicopter, looking down on his white neighbors, So, but my point is, we got a lot of. I also was getting a lot of horror stories of rappers who was getting kicked off of private jets, and racism was affecting them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can imagine.
How you gonna tell a $50 million rapper that he can't come on the jet that he rented with 4 of his buddies? Like he rented the jet. You know what I'm saying? So I saw, whenever there's a problem, there's always a solution that's monetizable. So
exactly.
I told my partner, I said, yeah, man, we need to, let's train these youth up. I'll support that. And we're going to have some black pilots flying 50 Cent's private jet, Rick Ross's private jet. They're going to have black pilots,
Yeah, that's powerful, man.
Yeah.
So what would be is that could you what's the connection between that and like the Black College Expo? So is that the connection, or could you kind of elaborate on that, how that all came together?
Well, the Black College Expo, the National College Research Fund, they can kind of like control education.
Okay.
What you see them do, they implement it into the school systems.
Oh, wow.
All the way from the kindergartens all the way up to the HBCUs. They control education. So I was just looking at my friend. She was on, my Compton sister. She was over there talking to the vice president and left with a big check, to go back and make sure that these black kids keep going to college.
Keep going to college, yeah.
But that's a whole nother conversation. But my point is, she is the voice of education. So me connecting her, she had a need, and my buddy had a need. She needed to find something. College was under fire, as in meaning if they did an audit on college of how many successful black kids graduated, the numbers was low.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's graduating, but how many of them are employed? How many of them are making money? How many of them are well off? How many of them got their student loans paid off? The numbers was down. Nobody was paying their student loans off. Nobody was buying houses. So it was bad. So she needed something another model. So me connecting them with the pilot situation. Now to get your pilot license was like $10,000-$20,000 or something like that, which is nothing. That can be paid off quick, and then it starts you off in a job at $100,000. So she came in, and when they partnered, when I connected them two together and they partnered, he came in and gave her all the information on classes and teaching, and gave her all the pilot information she needed to put the curriculums in the schools. So when he connected, man, they gave him so much money, man. He went out and bought like 20 Mercedes-Benz buses and started picking kids up from all the schools all over at Compton, LA, and Carson and all of that, bringing them to the airport to take pilot classes, So I'm sitting there like, damn. I had a only class I had where they came and picked me up was to get a driver license,
Yeah.
I wish they could have picked me up in the 9th, in the 8th, in the 10th grade, 9th grade to take me to pilot classes, and I would have my license by now. A long time ago,
A long time. Yeah, that's beautiful, man. Good God. So, and unless like you keep saying, unless you find this information, you ain't gonna find it this is serious success stories, man. Serious, you know what I mean? And it just seems like what you just explained is such a common sense type deal, and it just seems like just correcting the right people to make it happen. You know what I mean? Just let's do this. Let's make this happen. And people like you connecting the dots. That's powerful. So so how? Let me ask you this. So how did you go from like low riders to flying cars?
Okay, so Lowriders. Okay, we
Mm-hmm.
started that in Compton with the we're just restoring them. It was about 3,000 cars when I was growing up. Everybody had them, and then I find out that it was just us in Compton, LA, and Watts. So anybody outside of that area that had a lowrider was from that area or knew somebody in that area. So when I find out that we got a product that nobody else on the planet got,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? But long story short, when you look in the trunk of a lowrider, you see aircraft hydraulics.
Okay.
So now, because I got a partner who got airplanes and stuff like that, you know, and I communicate. I know the airplane language. I communicate with very wealthy people. I got,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm shipping lowriders from Japan, Germany, Australia, New Zealand. So I got cats flying in on private jets and cats putting cars inside of a multi-million-dollar yacht. So I'm
Yeah.
having billion-dollar conversations, and I'm finding out from my foreign friends that Dubai. They like, you know, it's going to be some flying cars, right? And that's where they came in. Like we partnered with DJI at the airport. DJI came in because they also passed the law. You know, DJI is drones, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So DJI, or I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, if that's the right
Mm-hmm.
acronyms. But the drone company partnered with us because the FAA slapped them with the if you want pilots to fly drones, y'all gonna have to have a pilot license. If you want anybody to have a drone, you're gonna have to have a pilot license. So
Mm-hmm.
fast forward the story, talking to them, they told me, and I started finding out that there are flying cars that's already here. They just trying to they're gonna do an infrastructure bill in the future. Y'all not set up to have flying cars.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I knew in 2015 that we gonna have flying cars. And I was able to go back and start partnering with schools and tell them, hey, y'all, we gonna have flying cars. Y'all need to get this thing together, you know. So we brought Dr. Dre in and Master P, and that's another big major thing. We got Dr. Dre to give $210 million to the Compton School District. So now they done tore down Compton High School and bringing that up to be state of the art. So you're going to have
Wow.
everything. You're going to have everything in there: pilot classes, everything, auto mechanic shop. Everything's going to be there. And also, we redid my high school, Centennial High School. Got a full blown auto shop, state of the art class in there, all the way with the electric car, and I get to go out there and take them on field trips and stuff like that. You know, so that's when I became an advisor to Compton. But I think where I'm going back to your question, how did I partner with them? How did that all?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How'd you go from just how'd you go from lowriders to flying cars? But
Okay, so aircraft hydraulics, aircraft parts is in the trunk of lowriders. So by
mm-hmm.
hanging with the Compton airport, I looked at those private jets. I was looking at the helicopters, and I'm like, that's the same thing in the trunk of this lowrider. You know, so I overstood. I'm like, I can work on the helicopter. I can work on the helicopter. I can work on the private jet
Mm-hmm.
because they got mostly hydraulic parts. So when it came down to so people started quitting their jobs at Toyota and Volkswagen, all these different people would quit their jobs and jump onto the bandwagon of flying cars. You see what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
the language was always out there and I knew about it. So when I collaborated and connected the Compton Airport to the National College Research Fund, which is Black College Expo,
Mm-hmm.
my buddy had enough money. They gave him a lot of money, man, and he had enough money. So he started talking about we're gonna build black rockets going to the moon. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna build right there in Compton. We're gonna build flying cars right there in Compton.
Wow.
So I was the guy that was gonna do the building because I'm the reverse engineer kind of
Reference
guy.
engineer, yeah.
I'm gonna take this plane because I was having the kids. If you look on my YouTube page and my IG and all that, you'll see me sitting at the airport talking with all them pilot kids, talking business and talking about economics and talking about
Mm-hmm.
reverse engineering, putting mixing this helicopter with this Honda,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying, and
What
stuff like that.
see, I'm just visualizing a flying car, and I'm thinking about a plane, and I remember there was a guy, there was a baseball player, if I'm not mistaken, his name was Roy Halladay. He crashed in, he had some hybrid thing like that. I'm just visualizing the technology behind it. Is it propeller blade based or is it?
It's
It
all
is okay.
propellers. It's all
Propellers, okay.
propellers. it's nothing but a drone.
Yeah, I got you. Big
That's it.
drone.
You
That
see the
makes
kids
perfect
with
sense.
them
Yeah.
drones? That's all it is, the oversized
Ozone
box
drone.
with propellers on it. That's
The
all
big
it
ass
is.
engine propelling it, right?
No, it's just regular propellers, and it's
Hmm.
a small electricity works different.
Yeah, yeah.
That stuff works different than from a car.
Hmm.
It's very simple. So if you got to look it up, but it's just very simple. If you know cars, you're like,
Hmm.
I can make that.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah.
If you got the knowledge that I have as a car builder,
Hmm.
and you look at it, it's just a car with some wings on it. That's all it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
and
You know.
we need to tie it straight to the frame so the propellers won't be moving. And, we
Hmm.
need to find out what type of electric engine is that. Oh, we're going to need 4 engines or it's 8 engines. And okay, we'll get these because we needed to drive this long. So it's very simple. But if
Yeah,
you ain't got that trade, those skills, then it's very hard.
yeah.
You look
It's
at it
very
like,
hard.
oh, that's expensive. But when I look at it, I say, oh, we probably could build that for 30,000, but they over here getting 1.4 million
Yeah.
for it,
Good gracious.
800,000 and all that.
Woo!
But
That's some
yeah,
serious profit right there.
everything that's new is always more expensive.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
everything that you buy already together is always more expensive. So when
Hmm.
you look at it like me, you look at it and say, I can build that. I know where to get this at. I know where to get that at. All we got to do is get that. I don't know where to get that from though. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
we can
yeah,
find
yeah, yeah.
out. And next thing you know, I come with a whole nother twist. I'm like you said, reverse engineer it.
Hmm.
I want to buy that and figure it out and look at their patents and turn around and figure out what can we make ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Next thing you know, I'll patent some stuff and come up with my own brand. So that's why you see me when I'm speaking, you'll see me speaking at a lot of African uh, uh, investment conferences,
Hmm.
because Africa has a lot of car companies that they're starting to
Hmm.
make their own cars. Now I think we got like 8 manufactured car companies that
Hmm.
are not reverse engineering other people's cars. They're
Hmm.
from scratch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
we are in the age of the Jetsons right now.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
see what I'm saying? So that's why they passed that infrastructure bill. And that's why you see so many new hotels being built, so much new construction, because they're building these cities. So one day that we can have instead of you go to the park and ride outside your house and you jump into the drone taxi cab, the drone bus, and it takes all 20 of y'all over to the top of your building, your office building, and land
Hmm.
on the roof. And then they run
Hmm.
out there and swap the batteries out and put some more batteries in, and next thing you know, people flying back to the next parking ride. But that's why when you look at these corporations, see, that's what I was telling people, because I understand that language of what's to come and
Hmm.
what's about to happen. I also understand the effects on real estate too.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like insider trading. When you know this, you know how to go get in position and you
Yeah.
know how to play the long game. So
Connected.
that's
Yeah.
why I was the first person that called out gentrification. I was the first person speaking on a national scale talking about real estate, talking about gentrification, and people looking at me crazy, talking about creating wealth. Because I
Hmm.
tell people, look, it's $1 billion corporation trying to buy this 2 acres of land right here. You don't want to sell that to them for no 50,000.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
You want
yeah.
to sell that to them for 5 million, $10 million
Hmm.
because they can afford
Hmm.
it, and this
Yeah.
land is going to be worth more. So, for example, you had in Mojave, California, which is next to Palmdale, California, where I was living at the time. Mojave, what's his name? Virgin Galactic,
Yeah. Branson.
Richard Branson.
Branson. Hmm.
Yeah, Richard Branson come up there and he ended up deciding he wanted to make spaceships in Mojave Desert, California.
Hmm.
That's like 45 minutes from Palmdale, California, and people didn't realize that. And then here comes Warren Buffett. He wants to buy up land on the low. Both of them buying up the land. There's a lot of billionaires out there buying up the land on the down low, and they're turning around now. Now Richard Branson, he got the airport, the Mojave Airport, where he's gonna shoot spaceships up in the air. I mean, shoot flying, personalized, private spaceships. You hear me?
Yeah.
Which is another reason why he need more pilots. I think he just did one of his first takeoffs and had like $400,000 per person. You want to go fly to the outer reaches of space? I put that on
Just
my page, matter of fact, just recently. But if you go
yeah.
back to some of my old lectures, you'll hear me talking about that in 2016, 17, 18. And people was looking at me like, this dude is crazy. But now here we are in 2023, the technology, it has finally hit the mainstream news,
Hmm.
and people are looking like, wow, we screwed up. We should have jumped on it when you said it back then.
Back then.
But yeah,
It
that's go ahead, brother.
it's I I like listen. I love watching your clips on I think it's IG. I think I most watch them on IG. I love watching your clips because it's so informative. And one thing that you talk about, and I even saw it was like who's that one dude um that you were talking about, the misinformation guy. What's his name? You know, the one that always tell the people, he was the one that tell them, I can't remember his name right now, not to buy land and etc. What's his name? What's his
Yeah,
name?
dude out of Florida, the puppet
What's his
master,
name? Yeah.
Grant Cardone.
Grant Cardone. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So could you please elaborate and tell the people that don't understand the importance of owning land? Could you kind of, explain the importance of that?
let's look at it like this.
Hmm.
We look at Bill Gates buying up all the land. All these corporations are buying up all the land. They're about to put us. They're about to put people in a situation where if they don't already own something, they'll never own something.
Hmm.
So us as a people saying, "Oh, we're gonna start making our own food. We're gonna have our own gardens. We're gonna open our own restaurants." They're already ahead of us.
Yeah.
They're like, "We're gonna buy up all the real estate so they can't have it." So
Hmm.
that when they decide to open up their own restaurant, they're going to have to collaborate with us.
Hmm.
Meaning, imagine you said, okay, I'm finna go buy me 50 acres and I'm gonna create a black farm. Uh,
Hmm.
Bill Gates bought all the acreage. You can't do it no more. You want to
Hmm.
buy some acreage from Bill Gates, you got to collaborate with him. He
Hmm.
wants you to sell fake food.
Yeah.
He don't want you growing real food and fruits and
Hmm.
vegetables. So then
Hmm.
you look at you open up, you want to build a building to have your restaurants, you want to have your businesses in your building. Now they already own all the buildings. So
Hmm.
now all of a sudden you thinking you're going to start your brand new business, your franchise, and they tell you, well, will rent it to you. We will never sell
Hmm.
it to you, but
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
will rent it to you for, 10,000 a month.
Hmm.
But we also want 20% ownership in that business that you are about to start that we ain't got nothing to do with.
Hmm.
And you get
Yeah.
mad and I'm not, that's crazy, I'll never do that. And then you find out that same dude owned 85% of the buildings
Yeah.
in this state,
Hmm. And what
and
can you
other
do?
states all around the country. So you don't have a chance, you don't have no other choice. So the same thing with buying houses. They want everybody to be renters to where they don't care if your name is Dr. Whoever. If
Hmm.
it ain't nothing for sale, they can always push you anywhere they want you to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you coming in saying, "Hey, I just made 10 million off of my bitcoins and my forexes and my stocks and my CD just paid off and all that stuff," and you say, "Okay, now I'm ready to buy something," it's gonna be like, "Ain't nothing for sale."
Yeah. Yeah.
So you say you got $1 million. What I'll do for you is I'll prorate it and I will. You got to pay 10 years in advance.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
it is so important and valuable that if we don't buy land right now, we won't be able to open our businesses up in the future. We won't be able to
Yeah.
build houses for our people to live. We won't be able to build a warehouse for us to start a black owned flying car company. You see what
Hmm.
I'm saying? We
Yeah.
won't be able to build a black city so we can have black power. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
we don't
Yeah.
buy this land today,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's,
You
it's,
know,
it's
and it's
life
interesting.
threatening.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because you hear about like these different people say there's a certain agendas out there going for the future and how they're trying to set up cities, smart cities, and all this type of stuff.
Yep.
And it's
Yep.
like, and you think about that, and everything what you said right now makes perfect sense because if you're buying up all the land and you're like, all right, well, there's all this lands out here, you got to go to these cities. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? And you can't. We're not gonna do anything because we're making the fake foods with vaccinations inside the food on us. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
All in the rural areas of America. But now you got to go in these cities. You know what I'm saying? And you can't own anything. You got to rent
Nope.
because the people who live
Exactly.
there. It makes perfect sense. It's like and it's so crazy because they tell us what they're doing in advance. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Nothing that you just said or what I just said is not new news if you and they
Right.
put it right in front of you. You know
So
what I'm saying? Hmm.
absolutely. So let's go back to what you were saying. Disinformation guy.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I told people years ago, okay, it's a lot of money coming our way, and it's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
major moves. This movement of alkaline food that Dr. Sebi pushed when he won that lawsuit in '84, that changed the whole world. Everything
Mm-hmm.
changed.
Yeah.
That mobilized Bill Gates to buy up all the land. That mobilized China to buy the land up. Everybody's buying Israel. Everybody's buying land. And the next thing you know, they also are making fake foods. All these
Yeah.
different companies got gigafactories of fake food. So
Mm-hmm.
it's important for them to get rid of all the land ownership to make sure that we will never have an alkaline living, alkaline food. So that also anyway, going back. So now, because of that information is there, we are doing that. I'm traveling the country speaking on that. Now I tell people, don't think them folks is just gonna sit back and say, damn, we missed, it's over. We can't no
Mm-hmm.
longer do this no more.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to turn around and gonna figure out a way. They're gonna take some black faces and create high places, and they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
have the puppet masters doing it. So you're gonna think
Yeah.
it's black owned.
Yeah.
You're gonna think he's giving you some great information. So let's go back and talk about Grant Cardone and that.
Mm-hmm.
So when I told people to pay attention to what these black speakers are saying,
Mm-hmm.
listen to the topics they choose to talk about, pay
Mm-hmm.
attention to what they choose not to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at their emotions of how pissed off they get when you
Mm-hmm.
say that real estate is better investment than stocks. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like, real
Mm-hmm.
estate is a better investment than Bitcoin. I've
Yeah.
seen
Yeah.
people get into arguments over that, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, why are you so passionate over this
Yeah. Yeah.
Bitcoin?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
not been proven, but real
Mm-hmm.
estate's been proven. So my whole point is, these are all people that I said I suspect all these people, and next thing you know, I looked up, I see this picture of Grant Cardone and a lot of the keynote high-end black speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And Grant
Yeah.
Cardone is standing there in his Gucci slippers looking like, these my niggas. You
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and all them cats that I said I suspect is in the damn picture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So Grant Cardone is passing down the information, saying,
Yeah.
teach this, don't
Yeah.
teach that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We don't
Mm-hmm.
want this coming out. Anybody teaching that needs to be shunned. You need to do anything in your power to make sure they don't get to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So I look at situations where I was going to speak and they were going to speak. And then the next thing you know, they had already said, yeah, TJ, we want you on a panel discussion. We want you here. And then they
Mm-hmm.
bring in those guys, the high-end
Mm-hmm.
guys. Remember,
Mm-hmm.
they already got all the hell of a advertising, hell of a
Yeah. Yeah.
product.
They get that the
They
regime behind them.
Yeah, they got a whole team, a hit squad
Yeah.
behind them. Like,
Yep.
damn, they social media is popping. Look at the
Yeah.
website; it's
Yeah.
off the chain. Look
Mm-hmm.
at this whole marketing campaign is wow. So all of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden, now you're looking at that. So here I come speak, and the next thing you know, the company, oh well, TJ, you know what, we're gonna have to change our mind, and yeah, they don't want to do a panel with you, or we don't need you anymore, or we would decided to go a different direction. And then I look at where we should be talking, like in Mojave, California. Let's talk about Mojave again. That's
Mm-hmm.
where the first smart city is gonna be built at, in the desert of Southern California.
Oh wow.
So you got the owner of one of the guys that used to work for Walmart, billionaire guy. He goes off and I think it's called Telosis. It's on my
Mm-hmm.
IG page, showing
Mm-hmm.
that he's building a $400 billion smart city in the middle of the desert, but that's in Mojave Desert.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Warren Buffett was out there putting all his electric, we call it solar panels farms
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
trying to supply that whole electric city. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? So most of the people don't know about it, but this is why I come out and I start teaching my classes.
Mm-hmm.
You say, oh, TJ, I don't want to take your class because I already took such and such's class. Well,
Mm-hmm.
such and such only teaches you about fourplexes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ever notice how a lot of the black speakers are all talking about building fourplex, buying fourplexes, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't hear them talking about the stuff I talk about.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, man, they about to build some smart cities out in the middle of the desert. They're about to build a high-speed rail bullet train to take you from LA to Las Vegas, but it's going to stop midway through the smart city in the middle of the Mojave Desert. So
Mm-hmm.
we need to buy all that land up, and so we can own some of the land on the way there, because
Yeah.
they're going to
Yeah.
buy it from us, or we can open up something, blah, blah, blah. But they don't talk about stuff like that. I was just
Yeah.
speaking about that the other day. at one of the conferences, man. And when I tell you, when I start talking about that, they cut the music up on me.
Yeah, I believe.
So,
Yeah,
they don't want good information coming out. The only information they want about real estate coming out is buy a fourplex.
yeah, yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? So
yeah.
pay attention to that, you know. But yeah,
Mm-hmm,
so Grant Cardone, he's one of those guys. He's behind the
mm-hmm,
scenes telling people what he wants them to do. And then he
mm-hmm.
gets clowned. He gets caught up by clowning us saying, yeah, black people ain't that smart. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah,
if you
yeah,
saw
yeah,
that
yeah,
video.
yeah. Yeah, I see that. Yeah. And how
Yeah,
he wish he could say the N-word. He was all excited. I wish I could say the N-word. I'm
yeah.
like,
So now all those guys trying to pretend they don't know him, and he's trying to, how did the picture leak out? Like one of
yeah,
y'all.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
again, we got to be very careful with who we listening to.
Mm-hmm,
Quit going with the people who got the biggest, hugest followings and start listening to the smaller situations like you, because
mm-hmm,
this is where the real information gets to come out at, if that makes
mm-hmm.
sense.
It's true.
But yeah, disinformation, man, is a big business, dude. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It's you
Crazy.
know, going back to the whole, American thing too. You know what I'm saying? It's the American way.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
They don't want people being billionaires, black
Yeah,
billionaires that
yeah.
controlled, like my industry. In the classic car industry, I was totally independent.
Mm-hmm,
I didn't get everything from nobody. I can switch up and go to somebody else tomorrow. I didn't buy anything from nobody that I can get locked out.
mm-hmm.
But historically what happens is we get encouraged for buying a franchise from other people.
Yeah.
They're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
he's the man. He bought into the McDonald's chain. He bought into. And that's like, dude, that stuff is failing. Why would you buy that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we got to look at smart businesses starting to franchise in the plant-based or alkaline food industry.
Yeah,
That's the fastest growing food industry in America,
yeah.
in the world right now. So it's like, why would you buy a failing restaurant industry that sold burgers
Mm-hmm,
for? That don't make
mm-hmm.
no sense to me. It's like that stuff is. I did a lecture on that on my page. So we got to pay attention to who we're listening to and
Yeah.
what they're talking about.
Yeah, no, I always thought that it was interesting, like a connection, like, cause I know what's the name, Slutty Vegan, for example. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like, cause being in the A, for a while that was the joint, it was popping. You know what I'm saying? I know I went there, had a couple of them joints, right? I was like, all right, whatever the case may be. But then I'm like starting to, I ate some, and I didn't really feel that good after I ate it. It's just my
It's
personal opinion.
it's
And
not.
that's
That's soy.
yeah. So
It's that Bill Gates vampire burger.
yeah. So just like you were saying, so after that, you know what I'm saying, when you have the vampire burger and you have a community, you know what I'm saying, of people that you would like to feed the vampire burger to, of course, they're going to be put on a certain level. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Right.
It's going to be pushed as
Right.
opposed to having the exact opposite, maybe all black owned business that makes the burgers, you know what I'm saying, with 100% organic food as opposed to the vampire burger. You know what I'm saying?
No. Exactly. It's like,
Mhm.
you know, why make vegan ghetto? You
Yeah,
know
yeah, 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 yeah.
why?
Woo.
So we're being shown that this stuff works. You should do it too.
Yeah,
And it's like, I would have never named a restaurant that.
yeah,
That's not respectful. I don't want my kids talking about that. I don't want them being a part of that. But
yeah,
then at the same time, how can you be vegan or plant-based or alkaline saying you a part of the vegan industry? If you vegan, you know that soy ain't good for us.
yep.
So it makes me look at it. I don't want to be talking about my people, but I do
Hmm.
want to keep an eye on my people and
Exactly.
listen to the language and pay
Hmm.
attention, because
Hmm.
well-oiled machine. I'm not saying that you can't do it right, but
Hmm.
well-oiled machines are usually something's wrong.
Yeah,
It's something
exactly.
wrong about that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think
Hmm.
I'm the only one who said it. And we ain't hating, but we also know, why not change that pattern?
We got a question here for you. Um, I don't know, can you see it?
Yeah, and how that will affect our finances of our culture, which will potentially lock us out of the purchasing property. You know, again, that's why I say we got to buy what we can while we can. You know what I'm saying? Affirmative action will affect the financing industry eventually. But the financing industry is kind of folding away anyway because over 70% of the homes that sell every year are sold by cash.
Mm.
So affirmative action played a role in you being able to get a mortgage loan.
Mm-hmm.
They have to sell you a FHA loan at 3.5%, 3%, you know, because of that. But most people with 3.5% ain't able to get a house anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's happening. That's why I tell people, if you look me up on my page, go to my website, tjloftin.com. I've been teaching people how to build houses, buy land and build houses from the ground up since 2009, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that is our only solution, and that is what we have to do. We have
Mm-hmm.
to be in a situation of ownership and not sitting around waiting on affirmative action
Mm-hmm.
to work for us, hoping
Yeah.
that it works for us. You know, we need our own black schools, real black schools, not the ones
Yeah.
that other people write our curriculums for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're the way the world is supposed to work. We're supposed to take our leading scholars, the ones that's out here doing the work, that's really
Mm-hmm.
made stuff happen, like myself. Like I just
Yeah.
told you, we did this with the Compton Airport, we
Mm-hmm.
did that, Isaiah Cooper, blah, blah, blah. We did all of
Mm-hmm.
this stuff. So they supposed to reach out to me and say, TJ Loftin, can you come write us a curriculum? We'd like to look at your book.
Yeah.
We'd like to use your book to sell that, to put so the students could use this from the HBCUs, because we're
Yeah.
trying to create leaders.
Mm-hmm.
We want them to think like you, to go out and identify a bad investment. We want
Yeah.
them to think like
Yeah.
you and go out and do our own thing. Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Podcast Guy, we need
Mm-hmm.
you to come over here and teach some classes. That's not
Mm-hmm.
happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not happening, but we need that to happen. So that's why I don't really care about what's going to happen to these schools. No
Mm-hmm.
offense, y'all. No offense, but why is it that a person, a scholar like me, can't walk into a school and have my book and my curriculum implemented?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not? You know,
Yeah.
so it's because we don't control it.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't control our schools, but they say
Mm-hmm.
HBCU on the side.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But I
Yeah.
told us what's going to happen. So my whole point is, what's supposed to happen, what's been happening is, we scholars like myself, for example, back in the days, did all this amazing stuff and said, okay, I'm going to lay out the black print for
Mm-hmm.
others to do this. We're going to melanated people print so others can do
Mm-hmm.
this. Here's the whole hookup. Let's put it together. So now all of a sudden they got a school up and it's us. It's supposed to be ran by us, and people who
Mm-hmm.
look like us is in there going. So
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden what's supposed to happen is, now that the school's going, TJ's supposed to be teaching there. But
Mm-hmm.
somewhere down the road, they have been blindsided, and they say, well, TJ don't have a degree. We can't have
Mm-hmm.
people without a degree teaching in the schools. Well,
Mm-hmm.
the schools was created before there was degrees.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So why is it that TJ, the foremost expert on gentrification and real estate investments, and the automotive pioneer, the low
Mm-hmm.
riding pioneer, the guy who's leading us into the future because he plays the long game? Why
Yeah.
is it that TJ, the guy that led the whole automotive industry, the guy that saved the vendors from Lamert Park and stopped gentrification, why can't he come and teach classes at the
Yeah.
school? Why not give TJ an honorary doctorate? You know what I'm saying? But they don't want to do that because that curriculum is not what they want to be taught there.
Exactly.
They want to keep us in a position of we're being controlled. So when you
Mm-hmm.
look at me, they could not control me in my industry purely based on the fact that I wasn't buying anything from them. I wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
part of their franchise.
Yeah.
They couldn't
Yeah.
make a phone call and lock me out. Don't
Mm-hmm.
sell TJ no more of this, because
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
majority of the things that I did was intellectual property, and it was all labor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can go to any steel mill around the world and buy what I need to manufacture anything. Go ahead, brother. You had a question.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just interesting, man, and it's just a key point because me growing up, in the spiritual community, or however you want to, how you ever want to say it, like because I was around, and I was on that land when Dr. York had that land back, in Eatonton, that's
Wow. Okay.
476 acres.
Wow.
So I saw what would happen in which people came together
Yeah.
to build and set up schools, and what I'm saying. I saw that stuff,
Right.
and it always amazed me because of what I witnessed and how nobody is come together like that. Well, I'm not saying nobody, but like how we can't come together and build that collectively. And it's like, but at the same time, when you come together and you build as melanated folks, there's always problems, and there's always people
Yeah.
coming in and getting your business to
Yeah.
disrupt it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's we have to do it ourselves. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's what the
Yeah.
Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. You know what I'm saying? Noble Drew, all these all great master teachers always like, yo, you got to do it yourself because you can't. Nobody else gonna do
Let
it.
me let me tell you about the people who are. See, we got a lot of people who talk about what we should be doing, and we
Hmm.
got people like me that tell you who did it and who's doing it. You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying? I know the people who doing it currently. So instead of us supporting creating a Black Wall Street, we need to be supporting the Black Wall Street that already
It
exists.
exists. Yep.
That's why I teach. That's why I do a lot of speaking around the country.
Hmm.
And I go back to in the 70s, we got shout out and rest in peace to Dr. Onion Palmer,
Hmm.
started the first Marcus Garvey school in America.
Hmm.
Dr. Onion Palmer, rest in peace. That
Hmm.
school became first, the biggest school in the country. What do you call it? What word am I looking for? The number one school in America. When you pull up the best schools in America, Marcus Garvey in the hood in
Hmm.
LA was the
Hmm.
number one school in America. And what happened? The Miss Bush, President Bush's the wife, the one they call SARS, the mother,
Hmm.
she went out there in person and
Hmm.
popped up at Marcus Garvey School asking, why is this the number one school in America?
Hmm.
And Dr. Anya Palmer, man, that was my first coach. He was a
Hmm.
beast. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Dr. Anya Palmer straight up had the recipe for our success as
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Anybody who was finna teach at that school, they had to say they had to be married or they had to lie and say they was married.
Mm.
Straight out. Black man, black woman. He
Yeah.
went there, man. And
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and fast forward the story, that was his school that he built, his second school across the street from the old school, was the biggest construction project during the LA riots during that time.
Hmm.
It was like they didn't build nothing in LA for like a decade after the riots. But the only thing that was built was Marcus Garvey School, rose up out the ashes. That school, that nobody bothered that school. But my point is, the kids that graduate from that school are the smartest kids in the country, dude.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They can compete, but that shows clearly why they don't want us to like. Soon as Dr. Anya Palmer found out I exist, next thing you know, he's sweating me. You need to come over here and talk to these kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, wow, like you
Hmm.
need to write a book. I'm like, I don't know about all that, you know. Unfortunately for me, and I hate that I did that. I was too busy trying to clean up the image of lowriding
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
want these kids saying this guy named TJ Loftin, he came in there and talked about lowriders with us, and the parents be like, them gang members, what is he doing, So I didn't want that, so I had to clean up lowriding first. But somebody slipped him a Mickey,
Mm.
and he ended up getting paralyzed. It was in
Oh
bedridden for
man.
years, and the school started going downhill. But before I know it, long story short, you know, I ended up going back in there to help out, and I started speaking. And man, it was crazy. I felt like this kid was so sharp. I was like, I worry about the college graduates, but for some reason, I ain't worried about these kids in this little regular school in
Yeah.
LA. They
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
they was sharp because they had people like me. He was out there looking for talent,
Hmm.
meaning everybody who's smart that did something that owned a business, they need to speak at my school. I don't care who you are. You
Hmm.
black, you look like us, you're gonna speak at
Hmm.
the school. And
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
those kids have so much experience, so much knowledge. I remember, man, one of the kids, I had a 9-year-old, was due about 12 years old, asked me, Mr. Loftin, what is your net worth? You in here talking about all these rappers and lowriders and stuff. What's your net
Mhm.
worth?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I said, well, about that. My homeboy almost fell out the chair. He wanted. They've been wanting to know that answer for years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So So all of a sudden, I told the class, I said, well, I went through a divorce and went through some stuff. And then the kid raised his hand. He said, you didn't have a prenup? I got up off the stage, walked down the stage, and walked into the front of the room with a tear in my eye and had to shake his hand.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
knew right then and there. I didn't
yeah,
know what a prenup was until I was in divorce court.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah, yeah.
saying? Like, wait a minute. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So to know that 9-year-olds and 12-year-olds already knew all that,
Yeah,
that was empowering to me. So
yeah,
they will never make the mistakes I made. And
yeah,
that's why it's
exactly.
important for people like myself and others who've done it, who really done it, to go in there and teach. So it's important for us to have our own schools, to grow our own food, to do for self, to do for
Mm-hmm.
us. And
Mm-hmm.
the only industry in the country that's doing that is the classic car industry, the lowrider
Yeah,
industry. We control ourselves. That's why when people look at me like, boy, you a little out there, you're a little, hard spoken. You don't be holding your tongue. I've never had to not hold my tongue.
yeah. Just talk
I
naturally and free and flow naturally.
Yeah, if I can't never say something that's gonna piss everybody off.
Yeah,
TJ don't like this kind of community. My guys be like, so you know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, 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 yeah. That's TJ. All
TJ,
right.
yeah, he's our leader. He's helping us to be everybody's rich. I ain't
Yeah.
never heard nothing, not trying to put us under the bus, but I ain't never heard nothing or seen nothing where I feel like my people are selling us out.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
we are the
yeah,
ones
yeah,
that
yeah,
save the community. We the ones, when we organized the gangs and stopped all that gang violence so that we could shoot those rap videos and movies and make it safe for our kids, and we can build this low riding industry that benefited everybody.
yeah. I
But
mean, and again, that's an example I was saying earlier of black. Everything you're talking about now is example of black power and black supremacy. You know what I mean? And all positive, everything you talk about, education. You know what I'm saying? Building. You know what I'm saying? And it's a beautiful thing, and that's where we need to be in this day and time to move forward. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Um, so let me kind of go back, dabble a little bit. Could you kind of talk about your relationship with the Compton School District?
So when we got that money, I don't say oh man. So we was built in an effort to grow Compton, to bring, like I said, I knew about what was coming down the pipeline. I
Hmm.
had all this insider information, I call it, that I knew, but I didn't see that stuff being talked about in the Compton School District.
Hmm.
And I knew that the prices of real estate was going to go up because
Hmm.
this company called SpaceX had moved into the middle of our neighborhood.
Hmm.
Not the middle of it, on the outside of our neighborhood.
Yeah.
SpaceX, Solar City, Tesla, the Boring Company, all moved into the middle of a black neighborhood, and the school systems was not alerted.
Hmm.
So because I knew, because we got a relationship with my buddy, got a relationship, and I found out my buddy got a relationship with Elon Musk and all of them. And when he
Hmm.
told me that was there, I was like, look, we about to get people about to get wiped out up in here,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
don't know what to do. They think college is enough. I'm like, college alone is not enough.
Hmm.
You need to learn real estate. You need to understand the long game of the long-term effects of Elon Musk being here. So
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
did was, we created relationships, and I found out that, one of my friends in Compton actually owns this not own it, but one of my friends in Compton had a great relationship with the school district. So
Hmm.
they allowed me to come in and partner with them. So me and Chico Brown, I don't know if you know Chico Brown, I got to put him out there because he don't really be talking about it too much. But Freeway Rick and Chico Brown, the
Hmm.
guys who got busted. So yeah,
Yeah.
Rick.
Yeah.
So Chico Brown, he was involved in a lot of education. So they reached out to me and asked me, come on with us. I was luckily to partner up with them because these are some of my Compton buddies. So I partnered with them, and he's good friends with Master P. So they luckily walked me into the Compton School District, and they were like, "This is TJ. He's a beast. Y'all
Hmm.
need to have him
Yeah. Yeah.
write some curriculum or something.
Hmm.
Do a book." So they walked me in, and I was able to be partner with them. We put together a partnership where we bring in more black business owners from Compton. And when we did that, I played a pivotal part of bringing in my knowledge. So, for example, I went to the Compton College and gave a lecture talking about my industry at the welding class. They had a welding class. That was like the only trade that was pretty much there. So I gave a lecture at the welding class, talked about powder coating, sandblasting, auto body, just went down the list. These are all billion-dollar organizations
Mm.
that we invest, that we spend our money on building these lowriders. They all earn over $1 billion a year. Guys wrapping their frames with metal, guys powder coating their frames different colors, guys chrome plating their frames. Fast forward the story, the Compton College just invited me back to speak, like maybe 4 or 5 months ago. Why did they implement all those classes?
Wow.
Now you can go take a sandblasting class. You can take a powder coating class. You can take an auto body class. Dude, they put like 10 classes in there after I gave my lecture and invited me back. And I'm up in there with tears in my eyes. And it was funny because a lot of my homeboys, you know, was in the class. So I put a video of that on my social media. But to go in there and say, here goes some real world information. We're not going to try to create a job for you. This is something that'll create a business for you that you become wealthy in as soon as you start.
Yeah.
You're not going to create debt, because my people, anybody who needs this service is willing to pay half the money up front. So you want your car powder coated, your frame powder coated. Here's half the money up front. You know, fast forward the story. That was my relationship with the Compton School District. We negotiated. We got Dr. Dre. You know, Chico Brown was great friends with Dr. Dre. First, we got them to give, because Dr. Dre was a board member for Apple. They gave the Compton School District 3,200 iPads because of us. And then we opened the door for the relationship to continue. Dre came in and gave the school district $10 million, and I was there on the board of deciding we needed to take some of that $10 million and redo my mechanic class at Centennial High School that I personally graduated from, and I actually had that class. So if you look at the pictures, go to my IG page, you'll look at those old pictures, my IG, my TikTok. You'll see me in the auto shop teaching classes. You know, matter of fact, I got a viral video from that class of 1.4 million views of me sitting there talking about, you know, how the auto repair people be scamming us. So that's why it's important. Nobody should graduate from school without learning how to work on a car. Learning the principles of working on a car, or having all the trades. You know, they should not allow them to leave school without having to know these things. That's standard. You know, because right now we have, you know, a lot of doctors, we got a lot of lawyers, we got people got amazing houses, but every average house that we have has over $50,000 in upgrades or repairs that need to be done to their houses or even their cars. And us as a people don't know how to work on our own houses, don't know how to work on our cars. So except for me, you know, I got people who pay me to fly around the country to come hang ceiling fans. You know, I got a person, I was in city I used to live in. It's called Palos Verdes, California, right down the street from a Donald Trump golf course. You know, Caranea is the biggest resort in America. It's like nothing but billionaires live there and stuff like that. But my friend lives right up the hill, looking over it on top of the mountain, got a mansion. And why in that house, it's like dated. But this is a $1 million doctor. And called me to come across the country and come hang some ceiling fans because they had, you know, a hole in the ceiling for years. Whenever people see us as successful people, they want to. I remember telling her, I ain't trying to throw her under the bus. I said, you're a doctor when you get to the hospital. You are a doctor when you are trying to save people. When you want to go speak at a school, you're a doctor. But when you stand in front of an auto mechanic class, your name is such and such. You ain't no doctor. When the carpenters come out to your house to work on your house, your name ain't Dr. Nobody. You know what I'm saying? You
Dr. Dollar Sign.
Yeah, they're gonna put that doctor tax on there. You know. So because of that, you know, that is a very lucrative. That is one of the most lucrative industries in America right now, is updating people's houses, working on their houses, and we're not dominating those industries. So now they talk about AI. They're pumping us as a people. Oh, we got to take AI classes. We don't want to be left behind. And I said, why is it that every time something takes off in our communities, when the real estate goes high and super amazing, instead of us learning more about real estate, The last time real estate skyrocketed, they wanted us to take coding.
Yeah.
This time real estate skyrocketed. Now they want us to do AI. It's like the white kids are not taking AI for the most part. The Asians are taking AI, but the white kids are taking trades.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They want
Going exact opposite, doing the Grant Cardone again. You know what I'm saying?
black people, y'all go see Grant Cardone and learn about wealth. You know what I'm saying? And learn how to do all this amazing stuff that don't never help the community. My whole thing. Go ahead, brother.
No, well, no, actually, there's a question here for you. What are the thoughts? Can you see it?
Yeah. What are my thoughts of off-grid homes being in the norm in the future? So that is going to be the norm, but we have to be very careful because right now we got a lot of people who live off-grid and they're having train crashes. And they're, these trains are leaking out toxic chemicals.
Wow.
And there are forcing people in those off the grid areas to come out of those off the grid areas because the country wants us to live all on top of each other in these townhome condo communities, this live, work, eat, play city. So if you look up, all the corporations are relocating. All the corporations in America and all the ones that are moving to America are going to these small cities, these off the grid areas, and buying up the land and bringing in the 10 million square foot gigafactory. So that you can, if you're going to live in this area, you're going to work for Ford. If you're going to live in that area, you're going to work for Tesla. You're going to work in this area, you're going to work for, Honda. But what they're doing is, they want to have their own cities so that they can control, just like slavery, everybody living on a plantation. This is a 2023 version of slavery. You're going to live in this neighborhood. You're going to work for us. You're going to live in this neighborhood. And if you're going to live in this neighborhood, you're going to pay association fees on your house. You'll never own it. So off grid, they don't want off the grid. That's why you look at, they're passing, see, we got to have a very clear understanding of what's happening. If you look at it, they just passed the law. They're going to pass a law by 2020 something. Everybody got to have an electric car in California. They can't sell nothing but electric cars by a certain time, and other states are going to follow. But check this out. If you look at off the grid living, you can't have an electric car and be living way out in the middle of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? It ain't going to work. So
ain't going to work.
People who have an electric car right now, if they're going to go on a long drive, they go rent another car. They go rent a gas car. They take their other car. You feel me? So electric cars is for local driving.
Exactly.
So when you go off the grid and you live in far out, it's hard to find a gas station in some of those areas, But I personally want to live off the grid, working on that. That's where most people are going to fall out and move to, is off the grid areas where we can have our own gardens. Just like I work with the sisters, out here in Georgia. There's a few of them got like a lot of land, and they way out in the middle of nowhere, off the grid. So they're gonna have their own gardens. They're gonna have their own farms. They're gonna have their own electricity. They're gonna have their own water. Blah 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 blah. So that's why you look at all these train spills and train crashes. Just how they always have.
I've seen them all.
Crash. Every time a train hit the bridge over a lake, it crashes. It dumps all the toxic chemicals in the water. And the water goes straight down through all these cities. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's all intentional.
Yeah.
So now, if you also look on my page, a lot of this information is on my page. Y'all want to follow me? Thomas TJ Loftin on IG, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, etc. I talk about all this stuff. I put these videos of other people talking about the same topic. They're going out. They got a law saying that if there's toxic, if the land is poisoned, if the water is poisoned, if the air is poisoned, we want you to move over here into the big city. Well, why would we do that if we just got a whole rural area just got knocked out? Why would we want to be piled, all of us, in the middle of one area, one city? I drive back and forth a lot. Going to small cities and other states and stuff like that. And when I leave out of Atlanta, out of Georgia, when I'm coming back to Georgia, I'm looking at, it's clear skies, but then when I'm looking at Georgia, I see this dark cloud around Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
around Atlanta. Have you ever noticed that?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh yeah. Very much so.
So I see this dark cloud, you know. That's why I wrote about stuff like a lot of the stuff I'll be talking about in my book, things, the solutions to all this stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a big dark cloud over us because they're poisoning the people here.
Yeah.
You see what I'm
Very much
saying?
so.
They're flying over with chemtrails and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And here I
Mm-hmm.
go. I'm hanging at the airports, and I know now. I think I just posted that on my video page where they're paying white pilots money to put chemtrail tanks in their little regular airplane, their Cessnas.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, they're like, they pay this much money a gallon or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You dump
Mm-hmm.
this much, we'll pay you this much, you know. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
they're like fly over these black cities and dump, just dump.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, what's happening? Our gardens are dying, or you know, or people are dying of cancer and diabetes and all these different diseases. And they're thinking, how did they get COVID? They didn't even go outside.
Yeah.
Well, you breathing, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Exactly. That's true, man.
Yeah, you go outside and you see them flying, dumping stuff. That's what's happening, you know. So we got to pay attention. What time do they fly over every day? Don't go out. Don't be outside at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, this is stuff like that. But yeah, we do need to be off grid. But off grid to me means bunkers. You know what I'm saying?
Like that, like the billionaires already having,
Right,
yeah, how they
right.
already have set
Montana,
up, yeah,
Montana,
underground, yeah, yeah.
Dakotas, and
That's
all of that. They
that's
got
truly
whole.
off grid.
Yeah, we got to be able to go underground and have
Yeah.
our own water supply, our
Mm-hmm.
own food, and all of that
Mm-hmm.
stuff growing. And
Mm-hmm.
if it hit the fan, we can go fall back to our bunker, you know, and have, you better be ready to protect it. That's just where we are right now.
Yeah, that's a reality. You know, it's interesting because just knowing the way the universe works and how the day and time know way, and it's like once the power once that power that had is relinquished, it's like they're going to do everything they can to hold on to it. You know what I'm saying? And we have to be prepared for that plan. It's like they're like the big bullies that if they can have it, nobody can have it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody just said on the page that they did something with bugs at the Afrin Fest. You know, we have to
Hmm.
be very careful to who's flying over us or what's happening. You know, they weaponizing the bugs, they weaponizing
Oh
everything.
yeah.
They got
Hmm.
drone bugs, you
Yeah,
know?
I've seen them. They look like
Yeah,
flies, and I've seen
yeah.
them. Man.
So we have to be very conscious to that. It's no longer, oh, that's a conspiracy.
Nah,
Everything is
it's
real.
reality. Yeah, it's
I
all
don't care how
reality. Yep.
crazy it is. That's why people used to look at me crazy, because
Hmm.
they would say stuff to me and I would always investigate it. I don't care how
Yeah,
crazy it
yeah,
sounded, how far fetched it sounded. Because
yeah,
remember, a far fetched conversation is very monetizable.
yeah.
If I don't know if it's true or not, if you don't know it's true or not, it's very monetizable for us to make some money off of this some way, somehow. So now that
Hmm.
we know about these bugs is being dropped on us, okay, well,
Hmm.
what's the solution to that? And can I get a patent on it? You know,
Yeah, exactly.
can I sell it? You know, something to protect us from these bugs that they injecting us with or people with,
Hmm.
you know.
Exactly.
We need to get on that. That's why it's important that we learn these trades and we learn how to make stuff ourselves and not have to depend on them to sell it to us or give it to us. But we got to starting businesses. It's very important. So I have a motto that says everything you sell, you need to manufacture it yourself.
Yeah.
You know, years ago I had a goal in my life to say that everything I sell, I want to make sure I own it. And it took me some years before I got there. Boy, when I got there,
Yeah.
man, it was like I was untouchable,
Hmm.
undefeatable. They couldn't do nothing because it was like I made everything myself.
Hmm.
You know, and that's
Yeah.
when the word patents, trademarks, copyrights come in, and that's when all of a sudden we got to pay attention to. I don't like when they glorify a rapper who sold $1 billion company. You
Hmm.
know, like I got this thing on my page on Instagram or whatever, TikTok, and I talked about it shows it said they bought they bought YouTube for 1.8 billion in 2012.
Hmm.
But in 2023, YouTube earns 1.8 billion every 5 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Something like that. So it's like,
Yeah.
why would you sell? You
Hmm.
sold for
Exactly.
pennies. You got that
So
$1 billion and you think that you big. Go ahead, brother.
no, no, it's interesting now that because you talk about like all the different corporations going out there. So what's happening like in the big picture with Tiny's all together with corporate expansion?
So what's happening with corporate expansion? Everybody's
Hmm.
getting into place.
Okay.
Everybody's getting into position. So imagine
Hmm.
me telling you, hey, this is the big picture. This is
Yeah.
going to happen by 2024. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
run and do everything you got to do to get in position,
Hmm.
right? So
Gotcha.
that's what corporate expansion is right now. Trump came in and said sanctions on China, tariffs on all the rest of these countries. So they basically told everybody who manufactures anything, if you don't make it in America, we don't want you selling it in America.
Mm.
So meaning if you want to sell it in America, you have to make it here. So now all of these corporations, these big corporations are moving here to America and they're buying up the land and they're building gigafactories. They're building 25,000 homes. They're bringing in all these people. That's why all of a sudden you hear a lot about Ukraine. America's bringing all these Ukrainians over here.
Hmm.
They bringing in tradesmen. They bringing in military. They bringing in a whole lot of people that's going to get
Yeah.
these new jobs.
Yep.
You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And they have it put an idea to put us out. So what we have to pay attention to is, man, my mind is going so fast, brother. Corporate expansion is a bunch of people getting in position, and that is creating massive amounts of gentrification, and
Gotcha.
it is knocking people out of home ownership. Is knocking people out of rent. Is making people change their blueprint. They just, matter of fact, the new blueprint for America is no home ownership for poor people.
Yeah.
If you ain't bringing in 10, $20 million a year, they don't want you to own the house
Hmm.
because they know that with corporate expansion today, you sitting over here in Eatonville, hypothetically speaking, or let's say,
Hmm.
let's go with Sparta. You over here in Sparta or Milledgeville, and your house is worth 180,000, and you got 12 acres in your house. Well,
Hmm.
all of a sudden, a Google factory, Tesla factory, they decide to make the brand new Google phone out there, or a Tesla door handle, or a
Hmm.
Tesla battery. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Next thing you know, your house gonna go from 180,000 to $2 million
Yeah, exactly.
because you got Google. You right around the corner from Google's Google, and they need corporate housing.
Yeah.
So they trying to buy your 12 acres. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So your
Hmm.
value of your home just skyrocketed because
Skyrocketed. Yeah.
Google has to buy that land close to the warehouse. You see what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm.
And that's why it's very critical that we don't sit there and go take no dang class on teaching us how to learn how to buy a fourplex or how to learn how to do a tax lien or how to learn how to flip. We
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
take my
Yeah. Yeah.
classes where I teach people how to learn how to identify land, which land to buy, and what is it worth, and how to develop it yourself. Find out what's the best use for this land. You see what I'm saying? And develop
Hmm.
it for yourself. And those are the classes that I teach.
Hmm.
You know, no, I don't have it all. My website ain't like everybody else's. I'm like, call me. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm like,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Call me, and let's talk about what you want. All this other
Yeah.
stuff, I'm teaching people how to identify gentrification because I can't
Hmm.
teach you about real estate without teaching you about gentrification. I can't teach you about this whole situation without teaching you the effects of corporate expansion. So
Yeah.
when I teach about what's happening, I'm teaching you about the water supply. I'm teaching you about what they're doing, what time the planes flying over to dump toxins. We're gonna talk about them drone mosquitoes and them drone snakes and them drone bugs and all of that. Because we gotta protect what we have. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? We have to be ready for all that's coming and all that's happening and
Hmm.
all this stuff, you know, this is
It,
interesting.
yeah, no, it's interesting because a lot the vast as we know the vast majority of it are still lulled asleep by the overall distractions that have been layered for years and years in the programming, and you know what I'm saying. So as opposed to looking at what's important in these conversations, we still most of us are still concerned about the next Beyonce video or the submarine ships going underwater. You know what I'm saying, and you know
Distraction.
distractions. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So, but I want to talk about this though, because you keep on talking about your book, your book, your book, your book, and
Hmm.
all the
Hmm.
classes book. I want to talk about, so how did you become a best-selling author? Let's talk about that.
Well, because of who I am and my background.
Hmm.
When you go, most people who read books, they research who's the author.
Yeah.
And when you start researching me, people go, whoa. You know what I'm saying? People like this guy don't normally share information. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
They always say, oh, when people get their money, they don't never share. So when I decided to write a book, it blew people's mind. Like, what's he gonna talk about? Because they know
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
my background is, you know?
Hmm.
So I didn't give my book to Amazon to sell. I figure I'm on tour, I'm traveling the country speaking. I got a relationship with all these black bookstores all over America. So I'll sell my book myself. I want us to eat off of me.
Yeah.
So me not putting my book on the standard Amazon, it made it harder to get my book. You got to know what my website is. So all of a
Hmm.
sudden, my value of my book went up. So if you find a used book on Amazon, you believe it's a crazy reach aftermarket value.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Yeah. Yeah.
became a best-selling author just based on my background. You know, I'm the guy who sat with Dr. Sabi. I ran his what do you call it, cabinet. You know,
Hmm.
I walk with Dr. Sabi. I advise the Compton School District. I know Chico Brown and all these different people that's got these high-end names and backgrounds. It's all in the media. So when you find out about a person like that writing a book, you're gonna learn a lot of game. And
Yeah.
when you got
Yeah.
that kind of game in there, those books sell real well. So my book has been moving, and that made me a best-selling author. So what I did was, when I did not put it on Amazon, so I discontinued the first book that I wrote, and I wrote the second book. And it was kind of funny how the first book I wrote, now that it's off the market, it shoots up from $25 to $370
Hmm.
because of
Oh,
the
wow.
because of the stuff that I talked about. So now the regular book, the new book that's on there, it's going for $54 to your door. And man, y'all might want to get a copy of that, y'all. That's a hell of a book. But I give up so much game. So what we got to
Yeah.
understand is, most people, I'll let you pull that up. Yeah, y'all get that book, a copy of the book, that best-selling book,
Yeah.
Monetizing
This is the book right
Gentrification,
here.
Building Black Ownership, at my website at tjloftin.com. tjloftin, LOFTIN.com. So that book right there, when I wrote that, you got to think about it like this. Most people in our community is being paid off to not talk about certain things, to not teach certain things,
Hmm.
to not do anything. You know, everybody got to stay on code, right? So I was one of
Yeah.
those guys that was never on code. So when you open
Hmm.
my book up, I'm talking about stuff that pissed people off.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He ain't
Yeah.
supposed to put that in there. You know, why is
Hmm.
he talking about that? You know,
Yeah.
and it really, they've never seen people talking about that. I'm not worried
Hmm.
about somebody getting mad because I wrote my book. So
Yeah.
when people read that book, they say, man, I never heard that before, but I see it every
Hmm.
day. That makes sense. So
Yeah. Yeah.
they start buying that book like crazy. You know, they realize somebody who don't have a chain around his neck wrote this book,
Yeah.
if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
meaning
Yeah.
he's not a part of the system. He can say what
Yeah.
he want to say. You can tell in there because of the stuff I talk about. I'm not scared to call somebody's name out, talk about people or what's going on. And you got to really think about that. Just like you hear about Kanye, you hear about Kyrie Irving and all those guys.
Hmm.
Oh, they got to get
Hmm.
on code. They got to get on check. They can't say these
Yeah.
things. Well,
Hmm.
I'm not a part of that, so I can
Yeah.
say what I
Yeah.
want to say. So when you're reading that book, you see it. I can talk about topics like we had all these conversations. I don't know. You tell me, is this a normal conversation for you? Is everybody talking about this? So it's
Definitely
like
not.
that. That's what's in that book, brother. It's stuff like that. So that's why I
Yeah.
became a bestseller, because most people like me don't write books and don't stand in crowds full of large people talking about stuff.
Hmm.
I come from the group of people who feel like I got mine, they need to get their own.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Hey, man. Kudos to you, because that's why I love, man. I love doing this, like speaking to people like you and speaking to people on the show, just because like you said, some people talk about things, but and not a lot of people do things.
That part.
And it's a prime example of an individual that's done it and wants to share it. And that's, that shows a lot of your character, and your integrity and just your love for your people to want to do this, man. And, kudos to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, wait a minute. We go. Where you at? Oh, no, somebody must have called you.
Well,
um, but, kudos to you for doing this. And, you know, my I'm just happy and I'm very grateful that you're here so we can speak about this, to engage the people or attract the people that want this information and that want to really do something, you know what I'm saying, with their
no,
lives and with their family, to help their family out and their neighbors or the people they love, man. This is what it's all about. And like I said, man, I can't thank you much, you know what I'm saying, as much as I can. I can't thank you, thank you, brother, for everything you're doing, you know what I'm
hey,
saying, as far as helping us.
likewise, brother. I appreciate again. I appreciate the opportunity to share.
Yeah.
It's a great situation when a person like yourself will give me some time to get on there and say what I need to say. Give us some
Hmm.
real information
Yeah.
because it's just very interesting. Like I'm looking at my IG page. It says I got 4 people on here listening, but
Hmm.
I just got through scrolling through it. It's about 40 people on here. You
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, 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 yeah.
So by the end of the
It's
time
true,
we get
man.
off, yeah, it's just we have to learn that what did I say? The revolution shall not be social medialized. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly, exactly,
And I
exactly.
appreciate y'all for listening. As a matter of fact, I appreciate y'all if y'all share this video.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know, everybody share it. You know what I'm saying? Let your friends know. I have a lot of people say, I just found out about you. I didn't know you
Hmm.
was, you 2012. What?
Yeah,
You was with Dr. Saban. Man, I didn't know that. And it's sad. I have a lot of people say, I just read your book and I'm pissed off because I made a lot of dangerous moves and sold a lot of things I should have never sold had I
yeah,
read this book two years ago. Or had I taken your class. I teach some classes, matter of fact. I teach classes, real estate classes, commercial classes, land development classes, about how to buy land and build a house from the ground up. And it's just the information I give is just you don't get that information,
yeah, yeah.
because you got to ask yourself. It's like you got a lot of people who starting to teach land development, is which of course that's going to happen,
Hmm.
but it's like dealing with, okay, well, I went to the dollar store versus going to Whole Foods. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah,
saying? It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
they're like, man, I get it cheaper at the dollar store.
yeah,
It's like, yeah, I'm
yeah,
sure you do.
yeah.
But you get it. I got mine right out the garden. This
Yeah,
information is out the
exactly.
garden, from the
Organic.
garden to the table. It's organic. This is organic. It's untouched. It's unfiltered. It's the
Hmm.
real information. This
Yeah,
ain't scary information. Meaning, oh, if I say this, oh, my sponsor is gonna drop me.
yeah,
Stuff
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
real
yeah.
information. So y'all, you got to pay attention to who's teaching the class. That's what I'm
Yeah,
telling
I ain't gonna front, man. I was one of those cats that until I linked with you initially and started going over your information, I was just like, where did this brother come from? You know
you.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know what I'm saying? I must admit, I was definitely one of them cats, man. I'm just like, again, thank you very much for everything you do, man. Anything else? Just like the good brother was saying, please, you know what I'm saying? First off, if you haven't followed Polka Dot Rabbit podcast, of course, do that. Like and share, of course, this video. But please follow the good brother and also share this, because what I notice about this podcast specifically, because there's a lot of bigger ones out there. A lot of people will watch the bigger ones and they'll come back, you know what I'm saying, later on and watch this after they watch, the big joints, you know what I'm saying? So um I'm fine with that as long as the information gets out there. Like, literally.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I do that, man.
They listen to the big podcast for entertainment, but
Yeah,
they listen to
yeah,
you for information.
yeah.
You know what I'm
Actual
saying?
fact.
So
Yeah.
we got to stop being entertained
Hmm.
and start being educated. And you're
Yeah,
not going to get real education off of those bigger shows because you
yeah,
ask yourself, I get people all the time, why you ain't never been on the Breakfast Club? Why you ain't never been on these people? Why you ain't never been on?
hmm,
They know about me. They know I
yeah,
exist, but they don't,
hmm,
it's certain people they can interview.
yeah.
It's certain people they can't interview.
Yeah, that's true,
And
man.
I was being an advisor to Dr. Saban. Do you think they want them interviewed? How many people interviewed Dr. Saban?
Yeah,
You know what I'm
exactly,
saying?
exactly.
He
Real
been in
good
the
point.
game since '84.
Good
You
point.
know what
Yep.
I'm saying?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
he didn't have no social media, didn't have no huge following. But my whole thing is people with the real information don't necessarily get to share with everybody. So I appreciate you, brother, for taking the time out to give me that platform. So matter of fact, if y'all don't mind going to my YouTube page, there's certain things I can't do till I get 1,000 subscribers. I got like 800.
Yeah. Put
So, you know,
yeah. I'm trying to think. What is your put your what's your face in the chat real quick.
oh,
Um,
I should have been
yeah,
on
put
that.
it in. Yeah, put on there. And then what I'll do is, since it's been up there the whole time, what what your handle is and etc. So we can put that up there so the people know where to follow you. So this is the this is the mission here. We need to get the good brother here to 1,000 followers. So everybody that's watching this now, there we go. Let me get this in here. Everybody, there we go. Um, everybody that's watching this now and everybody that's watching this after the fact, please go over to let me go ahead and find you real quick. Let me go ahead and put you in here. I'm gonna update, switch it out here, and you can see that his YouTube is Thomas TJ Loftin. All
Right.
right.
So go
So
there, click subscribe, follow,
mhm,
and go through them videos and share those videos, y'all. But most importantly, if you got questions about real estate, if you got questions about anything, if you want to learn the game, come to me, y'all. I don't have no down. I'm not on there doing classes. Download my class yet. I believe
mhm,
in one-on-one stuff. I believe in talking to people because I want my information to be up to date. I
yeah,
want,
yeah,
something happened this morning. I just found out about it. It's gonna be in the lesson.
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Not no,
Real
not
time.
yeah, it's real time. It's not no, wow, that's old. I was
Yeah,
listening, I was looking at a video I did the other day. Somebody's like, send me a video of mine. They was like, man, I wish I would have saw this video a long time ago. I would have bought. So the video showed I'm in LA and I'm talking about people buying houses. And I'm like, look, man, these houses gonna be worth these houses is gonna be worth 300,000 in the future. And now they
mhm,
worth 1.2 million. Like, people looking at me like, man, if I would have saw, I would have bought back then. It's
yeah,
like I'm telling them at 170, the house is gonna be worth 300 in the next couple of years, and now they're at 1.2 million. People was like, when is this? When was this? I said that was in 2013 when I first said that, and they like, wow. I wish I would have bought. And I make statements saying things like, the people who wanted to wait to get a 4-bedroom, now they can't afford a 2-bedroom townhouse. They waiting
yeah,
to get a 4-bedroom house because they waited. Now they can't afford to get a 2-bedroom townhouse if they
mhm,
continue to wait
yeah,
because they
yeah,
keep
yeah,
lying to people. So anyway, don't sell your property, y'all. That's all I wanted to say.
yeah. Hold on, yeah,
Invest, buy something now. Put that wetting off. Put that expensive wetting off and buy you some real estate. Don't go buy that Dodge Charger and the rims, the Harley Davidson, the red bottom shoes, and the big wet. And put that off. Buy you some real estate. Take my class. Let me help you upgrade your business if you already got one. You want to scale it to the next level? Let's do a consultation, a coaching, a training, something. But that's time for us to scale, y'all. Buy some
yeah.
commercial buildings. We got to buy the commercial buildings while we can,
Mhm.
and we need to create more event centers. So that's all I can come up with, just right then and there, that quick.
Well, y'all heard it here. You know what I'm saying? We got the website on here, as you see. I put down in the chat. Let me see, find it again while we do this. Let me find it. Okay, there we go. Here, quick. Go to tjlofton.com, holla at the good brother so he can give you all this information. And also, please go to his YouTube channel. Everybody that see this and you share, follow, like, not only the Polka Dot Rabbit, but also please follow and share and like also the Thomas TJ Loftin. If you see that, we got to get this brother to 1,000 subscribers. So each one teach one. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and
That part.
each one, yeah, network. You know what I'm saying? Let's get this brother to 1,000 so he can keep on making some bigger moves and share more information to the people, man.
Right.
So,
And pick up a copy of that book at worst case scenario. Pick
mhm,
up a copy of that book. You know what I'm saying? That's how I'm able to go speak at these schools for free because they don't want to pay me, y'all. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. They do not
yeah,
want to pay me. They give me a hard time. They don't because they know they're not supposed to.
yeah,
So I gotta do stuff on the principles of I need our people to get it.
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So I was self-financed for a long time, y'all. And
hmm,
it's like, brother needs some help. You know what I'm saying? It's like people like, well, if you made that kind of money, why you I don't want to go broke spending all my money traveling
yeah,
around the country for free.
yeah,
So
yeah,
no offense, y'all, but if y'all can support, a matter of fact, I got a cash app. Thomas T.J. Loftin, same thing. Money sign Thomas T.J. Loftin. Also, pick up a copy of that book, y'all. That's one of my biggest incomes right there. Is the tjloftin.com. That book, $54 to your door, and it's a powerful read. But that's also, I use that money to pay for me to go speak for free at these schools.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you got any relationships with the schools or any events, let people know. We need to quit waiting on people to put these big conferences together and see who they're going to put on there to speak, and tell them who you expect to be there to speak. So that's
Yeah.
what we got to do. We got to stop asking schools what are they teaching, and tell them what we expect them to teach.
Yeah.
Who we expect you to have TJ Loftin at this next conference, so he could talk about this and that. Not your realtor. People be like,
yeah.
real estate come up. Oh, my realtor, we're gonna let him speak about it. Like, really? Did he travel across the country? Do he know anything about gentrification in California, the Chicago, New York, Tennessee? Anyway, brother, I can go on and on and on, but I appreciate y'all for the time.
Yeah, man. Well, we all like we did before. We have to have a part 3 about some of those other things that we didn't discuss. You know what I'm saying? Later on
Whenever
down the
you're ready.
line. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Hey. But again, kudos to you. Appreciate you, man. Very thankful for you taking the time to be on here, the Polka Dot Rabbit podcast, and also the information you give. Like I said, let's get this brother to 1,000 subscribers, because I already know how it is getting. They kind of hold you back on YouTube if you do that. So yeah, press that subscribe button. Go over there, YouTube, Thomas J. Loftin. Besides that, that is it for me. If you haven't already, please go to polka-dot-rabbit-podcast.com. Pick up my book, Cultural Living and Leaving the World of Illusions. And that is it for us. You know what I'm saying? That's it for us tonight. And it was another wonderful conversation. I appreciate you again, good brother.
Peace and love, fam.
Peace and love. Out.